What is up, Alien Army? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And on this channel, we discuss everything out of this world. So today's topic, what are we talking about? We are going to talk about Saturn. Basically, the first video that I really put out on this channel is in regards to manifestation with Saturn. And we're talking about the energy of Saturn, Saturn as the planet, both of those things combined. So I just want to add to that, okay, because Saturn does help us manifest, but Saturn also has somewhat of a reputation on the third dimensional plane as being some sort of like a fourth dimensional blockage. So we're going to talk today about the positive side of Saturn here and why Saturn is the planet that can help you manifest your greatest desires. So Saturn as an energy, and we're going to bring it into astrology. I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go. I'm just letting him steer the ship. But Saturn astrologically is not the great malefic that a lot of those in the astrology community tend to claim that he is. Now, I'm just going to put this out there, okay? I have a strong Saturn, my Saturn in my chart. He's very well placed. So could it possibly be that I just see the benefic side of Saturn, perhaps more so than others? Maybe, I don't know, but I'm just going to speak from my experiences, okay? So with Saturn, now this is the anchor of any type of everything that you are going to be experiencing in your physical realm domain. You are always going to be drawn back to Saturn because Saturn as an interpersonal planet, remember he is after the asteroid belt, but he is not a universal planet. He is in alignment somewhat with the planet Jupiter, and I believe I have another video regarding Saturn and Jupiter, how they work together, if you want to check that out. With Saturn, now the reason why I put Saturn with Jupiter a lot, because they're both the intermediaries, they're the bridge, they're the conduit betwixt the third dimensional plane and the fifth dimensional plane with the outer planets. So these are sort of like the doorways, the bridges. So Saturn, whereas Jupiter in one's natal chart is going to just, this is going to be like where things are just given to them. This is going to be the things that they attract and whatnot. It might not necessarily be the thing that they are attracted to with Jupiter, but it's just going to be the things that gravitate towards them. Saturn, in comparison to that, Saturn is going to be the anchor. Somewhere in the subconscious or somewhere on the soul's journey, they are always going to go back to the energy of Saturn because Saturn is the anchor betwixt the 3D plane, what the soul chose to incarnate on Earth for, and to expand upon that to the universal consciousness to fulfill their divine purpose, if you will. So whatever you choose to call it, like soul purpose, divine purpose, the reason why you were born, whatever the fuck you call it, okay? That's Saturn. That is Saturn energy. That is Saturn astrologically. Saturn is just, it's the bridge to the other side, as is Jupiter, but we're focused on Saturn today. Saturn as being the bridge, as the anchor, and this is why, in my opinion, Saturn has a bad reputation because it is the anchor. It's unyielding. It's like, I'm not gonna move, I'm gonna be here, and it's ever present. So the area in your natal chart that you have Saturn, you are likely to notice that you are continually being drawn there, and it seems like, why am I being drawn there? And it's not something, here we go, here's the magic of Saturn. It's not something that you're being drawn to. You might not know why, but you want to be drawn there. Like you want to be where Saturn's at in your natal chart, okay? And this is what is conveyed to me. So now we're just gonna let Saturn continue. So Saturn in the natal chart, because it's essentially the anchor, like both the ego and the soul are on board with the energy of Saturn. And that is why it is the anchor. It is the bridge, is the anchor. It's connecting your soul to your higher self. So your higher self is always guiding your ego, your third dimensional vessel, and your human needs and wants and desires and all of that, right? So this is the connection, okay? So this is not like the Mars sign where someone is drawn to something because it excites their adrenaline. This is different because this is something that excites their soul, but whilst someone is only operating from the third dimensional ego perspective, typically earlier along in their journey, they're going to be pulled towards the energy of Saturn, because remember, it's the anchor to the soul as well as it's the anchor to the ego self. They're going to be pulled there, and they're gonna feel a sense of like, ooh, this shit is good. Like, that's some good shit. I don't know why I'm being pulled there, but it's important to me. So it's the subconscious seed that was planted by the soul before the individual incarnated into a physical human body. So Saturn, astrologically, as well as in all the other ways that we can look at Saturn, but Saturn astrologically in the natal chart, this is how you manifest your greatest desire, because your greatest desire is Saturn. Some might say Jupiter, the great benefic, and blah, blah, blah. No, Jupiter is the doorway too. Jupiter is important as well, because this is showing like the area in which you are most likely how to attain your physical desire. But the reason that your soul incarnated onto Earth is linked to your Saturn placement in your natal chart. Drop the mic, walk away. Check out Saturn. Check out where your Saturn is. Check out his house placement. Check out his aspects. You are going to find a link that rings true for you. Something in there, okay? Something in the house, the sign of the house. It could be the sign that Saturn is actually in. Saturn spends a good amount of time in each of the zodiac signs, but he's not like a universal planet where I would say don't really take into the consideration the exact sign, right? Because it's sort of like you're gonna have a generation of motherfuckers that have the same Pluto sign, right? Like and that's a generational thing. So it's like, yeah, we can take it into consideration, but Saturn is more personal. Saturn spends a good enough amount of time in a sign to take into consideration of how he's going to play out for you personally. So with Saturn, the house placement, the sign, especially if you have Saturn conjunction a personal celestial body or a point on the natal chart, a cardinal point, Saturn is going to be pretty strong, okay? If he's especially even placed in his home house, which is house number 10, if he is in a cardinal house. So all of these are taken into consideration, okay, how Saturn plays out. But for everyone, no matter how your Saturn is placed, you are going to notice that you are either drawn to some aspect of the sign that Saturn is in, a particular aspect, a major aspect that Saturn has to another point or celestial body in your natal chart, or just the house placement. Let's say if you have Saturn in the 5th house, you are likely to find something about the energy of the 5th house that you keep coming back to or moving towards, and it feels right. The energy of Saturn does not feel harsh, it does not feel restrictive, it feels like you're meant to be there. And that is the biggest misconception that I personally have seen when anyone is and I'm not calling out anyone personally because I've seen it pretty much all over. They talk shit about my boy Saturn, and we ain't standing for that here, okay? You could just the fuck out my face when you talk shit about my boy Saturn, okay? I love Saturn. And the reason why, in my opinion, this is speaking for me only, from my ego mind as well as my higher self, so it's like they're in congruence with this, but my ego is saying talking shit, right? But the higher self is like, well, they just don't understand the energy of Saturn. That's why they're rude to him, because they don't understand. It makes no sense to their ego. So there you go. Either which way, with the energy of Saturn, this is something that you are going to resonate with deep at your core. You're going to feel right in it. And this is something why Saturn can have that reputation, which I do notice as well. The area of Saturn will typically, there'll be a few trial and error moments, like it's like, okay, wait, you tried this, oh no, gotta do it again, right? And that's why Saturn has that whole sort of umbrella term of that he is a great malefic, or a restriction, or a blockage, or that it's going to take some time there, right? Like Saturn is associated as being the planet of time, but this is an area that's going to feel so comfortable to the seeker that they're not going to give a flying fuck about how much time it takes them, because that is an area that no matter any other aspect of their life, any other aspect of their natal chart, whoosh, Saturn, anchor, perfect this, you know it, you know this energy feels right to you, you are to perfect this, and this is what you will be known for, this is what you will be recognized for, whether Saturn is on your midheaven or in your 10th house or not, because natally he governs the 10th house of the zodiacal chart. What's going to happen is that this is something that the individual is going to be easily recognized for or by, or there's just going to be something with that. So if someone, let's say, I'll go again with Saturn in the 5th house, if they have Saturn in the 5th house, they might feel like, this is just one example, the 5th house means a lot of stuff, but one example, right? This is how you're sort of like flirting, and this is how you like have fun, get your game on, shit like that. So this is someone who feels comfortable just flirting with random people. They don't care where it goes. They're flirting with someone, they feel like energized, they feel uplifted, but they might strike out if they're flirting with everyone, but they continue to keep on doing it. Why? It feels natural to them. Saturn is pulling them back. This is what you are to be known for. And then when they perfect their technique with, let's say they're flirting with a whole bunch of different people, they perfect their technique, and then essentially what's going to happen is that they got their game right because of the trial and error, but they're like, you know what, I like this, I'm going to keep on going, I don't care, I'm meant to do this, right? And then what happens? They perfect their technique under the tutelage of the energy of Saturn, and then they finally have this big breakthrough. Let's say this individual now turns into something who writes a best-selling book on how to get anyone in bed with just one line or some shit like that. Okay, I don't know, that's just the example that he gave. I think that's like Saturn's attempt at being humorous, because he's a pretty serious fellow, but he's just like, let me just throw some shit in there for anyone to like take a chuckle at, you know? Anyway, so then that's basically what would happen with that individual. So it's like, okay, yeah, they were flirting with motherfuckers since they were 12 years old, and no one took them seriously. They're like, whatever. And then finally they reach the age of like 25, and then they flirt with someone, and then someone, like, because they've tweaked their techniques. Now, mind you, this is not someone who's running the same line over and over again. This is Saturn. It's like, well, that line didn't work the first time, or on that person, why don't you change it up? Why don't you try this, right? That's the time, that's the energy, that's the effort of Saturn. Saturn is not going to have the individual do the same thing twice, because doing the same thing multiple times and expecting a different result, that's what, I think it was Einstein that said that's insanity. So Saturn, being very logical and methodical, is like, well, that didn't work, you gotta tweak it a little bit, right? So that's where Saturn's reputation as like time and lessons come in, right? But you enjoy doing that because for whatever reason, whoever has Saturn in the 5th house, they might really like to flirt, and they're like, okay, well, I don't give a fuck what happens, I'm just gonna go. Maybe I'll try this line tomorrow, or whatever the case, right? So then by the time that individual hits 25, they write a best-selling book, and then boom, that's what they're known for, right? But they always were kind of known for being a flirt before then, and they were comfortable with that. They were like, okay, well, I mean, I guess so, you know, I guess I'm a flirt, you know? And then what happens is that boom, now they're known on a grander scale for being a flirt, and that's the energy of Saturn. It's like perfection in the technique, but not because you feel like it's work, not because you feel drudgery or that it's like you have to slave away to achieve it. It's more like, I like doing this. I'm not really sure why. I mean, like, that result didn't turn out quite the way I expected, but I'm gonna try again. It's like, it's really the area in the chart where you don't mind trying again because it feels right to you. Because remember, it's the bridge betwixt 3D. The ego is on board with it, anchor Saturn, and the soul is on board with it, anchor Saturn. So Saturn is linking the soul, like, well, this is what you fucking came to experience, being a master flirt, right? Hello, ego, ding, ding, ding. Like, you're gonna keep being drawn there because that's what your soul chose to do during the physical incarnation of whatever lifetime you're in. So that, I don't know even what I'm going to call this video, to be honest, because I feel like we touched on a little everything, but I think it's just going to be in regards to Saturn somehow, the title, and take with that what you will. I am Oculus, the alien next door, and we will chit chat again soon.